Okay, so when you get this template, the first thing that you're going to notice is that the writing looks really small. Okay, and you're thinking, well, how am I going to write inside this template? But you're going to see these different shapes that are offering you information. The first one says to have a better view of your work, you're going to zoom to 100%, and then you're going to be able to write into the document. We are writing double-spaced, Times New Roman font, size 12 in black, left aligned for the header. Please do not change the color, style, or size of the font that is given to you on the template. Okay? Your story is going to start with a hook. The hook is a sentence that's going to grab the reader's attention. So if you want to see examples of good hooks, you can click on the hyperlink. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to change the zoom. You're going to go to View, Zoom. Am I presenting? Let me check.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see my screen, correct? Okay, perfect. All right. You're going to go to View, Zoom, and then you're going to switch to 100%. Okay, so this will allow you to see your work. You want to make sure that the information here is correct. In your template, it's going to say write your first and last name here. Your template will look like this. And you're going to need to change it to your first and last name. Because this happens to be my first and last name, I'm writing it here. The second line is your teacher's name, the third line is your period, and the fourth line is the date with the numbers of the month going first. So make sure that information is correct. If it's not correct, change it. Then don't worry about a title. You can title your paper later. You can see that the introduction does start with a hook. To get hook ideas, you can click on the hyperlink. Okay, I already have that opened, so I'm going to show you what it looks like. For narrative leads, you can start with an action, an exciting event to grab the reader's attention. You can start with sound, which is like a sound that's going to get the reader's attention and bring them into the key event. A philosophical question that will be important to your reader. Dialogue, which is when characters are talking and sharing important information about the characters. Flashback, which is like a flashback to an important event that will be important to the story. Or description, which is using vivid words to describe a scene or event that can help the reader get an understanding of what's happening. So you're going to go ahead and pick your hook, and then I would like you to highlight your hook orange. So I use the action hook for mine. If you want, you can you can click on the hyperlink for your different examples of a hook. So I went ahead. Annabella was dead to begin with, her body still warm from the heat of battle, laid motionless. Wonderland's survivor was dead as a doornail, and then perhaps miraculously she awoke. In your first paragraph, which is your exposition, you are going to use your story elements, unjust law, plot diagram to help you write your first body paragraph. Now, my conflict is that Annabella must lead an army of mine workers to overthrow the unjust red government and change the unjust law that citizens cannot choose their own jobs. You need to tell me in your story elements plot diagram what your unjust law is and what your conflict's going to be. Like, what will your character do at the most intense part of the story? Okay, this is where your character comes in contact with the unjust government and is trying to overthrow it. In my exposition, I'm going to introduce Wonderland, the setting. I'm going to introduce its weather, its economy, its education. I'm going to talk about how Annabella is disgusted to be a mine worker. She wishes she had been assigned another job other than laborer. In her free time, she reads books, although doing so is against the rules. Okay. So here for my exposition paragraph, I want to make sure I'm introducing my main character. I'm going to highlight that information green. I'm going to highlight information that describes the setting of Wonderland in blue. And I'm going to describe the story's conflict, right? That the character could not have been assigned another job in red. So let's see if I am able to do that. Maybe I can get your help too if you can tell me how I can make my story better. It was your typical dreary Wonderland morning. Like any other day, Annabella awoke and shut her alarm off because it was annoying. She frantically ran around the house attempting to shower, change, eat breakfast, and shove off to the mines. If she ran late, she'd receive a demerit. Demerits meant extra work hours and smaller meal portions. To me, that's part of the conflict of this society being unjust. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. Red, because that's part of the conflict. She quickly grabbed the book off of her nightstand and hid it in her green army jacket before heading out. Books were against the rules. That's part of the conflict for me too, of this unjust government. I'm going to put that in red. She stepped out of her shelter and began her walk through the forest to the mine. Throughout the walk, Annabella took notice of how the trees were bare and covered in ice crystals. Annabella waded through the freshly fallen powdery snow. It was gently snowing now. She looked up, and all around her she was surrounded by a winter wonderland of snow-capped mountains, large frosted pines, and in the distance there was a frozen lake. All of that describes the perpetual winter of Wonderland, which is artificially created by the government. So I'm going to highlight all of that blue because it describes the setting. Goosebumps appeared on Annabella's bare arms, and she could see her breath. As her feet crunched through the snow, she came to the cave that she'd been working at for the last 6 months, Mine 6. The green lights of many cameras followed her as she entered. That's part of the unjust society, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight that red. You can see that I didn't highlight everything, and that's okay. I did introduce my character. My character's name is Annabella. I know that she is going to grab her book off of the nightstand and she's going to hide it in her army jacket. That says to me that she's kind of a rule breaker. I might add another sentence saying that she wishes Annabella let out a sigh. She wished the red government had assigned her any other job other than labor. However, now she had no choice. She had no choice but to mine. But to mine for gems she would never keep for herself. Okay. This is also part of my conflict, that she doesn't get to choose her job. Okay, for work today, you are going to write your introduction paragraph, and you need to highlight your exposition with these elements.